Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Looks like there's a lot going on here on the countertop, but there isn't really. This is pretty much a dead simple recipe, often called something Fra Diavolo. Today we're going to do shrimp Fra Diavolo, but sometimes it's chicken, sometimes it's mussels, sometimes it's clams. I've seen it done a whole bunch of different ways with different proteins. At its core, it's a spicy tomato sauce. And so that spicy tomato sauce with whatever protein, and then most often served over top of a pasta. And this is a recipe that is born out of Italian immigration to the United States. This is a recipe that realistically first shows up in either New York or New Jersey. And there's a whole bunch of origin stories about it. And a lot of people claim, and a lot of restaurants claim to have invented it. We'll never figure that out. We'll never know exactly where it came from. But it is an excellent, excellent recipe. Really great eating. Something that I enjoy. And so we're going to make it today. In this pot, I've got salted water. It's almost at a boil, ready to go. In this pan, I've put some olive oil, and I'm going to let that heat up, bring that up to temperature. Here I have some shrimp. They were relatively inexpensive this morning at the grocery store, which has driven today's meal. They were in a bunker, and they looked like they were freezer burnt, so they were deeply discounted, but they're going to be fine. So I've got the shrimp in there. Put some olive oil in. I just put some baking soda in, and now we need to bring some of that heat element. And you could use definitely hot red pepper flakes, and that's what I've got here. And I'm going to put a pinch of those in with the shrimp. But I've also got this peperoncino, and it's hot peppers diced up in oil and vinegar. And I think that brings a really nice, clean flavor. And what I mean by that is it brings heat, definitely brings heat, but it also brings a bigger depth of flavor than just heat. So it's not just a smack of hot. It's a smack of hot with a whole bunch of other things going on in the background. And I really like that. So put that in. I'm just going to toss that together with the shrimp. Just coat the shrimp with the oil, the baking soda, and the hot peppers. There we go. Now, I bought shell-on shrimp, and I've got the shells here. You've seen me do this in the past. Any recipe where I end up with the shells from the shrimp that I'm going to use, I will flavor the oil in the pot with the shells. And so that's just a matter of frying the shells in the oil to flavor the oil in the bottom of the pan. Now this is a technique from, those white tablecloth restaurants, and where they would do, pounds and pounds of shells, either shrimp shells or lobster or whatever, in order to flavor their oil that they could use throughout service in the evening. At home, you are going to impart some flavor, but you're not really going to have enough shells to give you big, big flavor. But it helps. And all along the way, every little bit helps, where you can build just an extra layer of flavor. So it doesn't take too long. That's pretty much it. And I'm going to use tongs to pull the shells out so that I can leave behind as much of the oil as possible. You want to leave the oil in the pan because it's now flavored. And the shells at this point are done. They just go into the compost. Okay, oil back on the heat. And in goes the shrimp. And we just want to fry those shrimp until they're starting to turn pink. And so there's a Canadian chain restaurant started here in Canada. At one point, it was all across the United States as well. They expanded, and then it's pretty much collapsed back down to nothing. And it was the kind of place where it was an Italian-American eatery, I think is what they called them. I'm not going to tell you the name, but the tagline was an Italian-American eatery. And they had at one point this on the menu. And it's the kind of place where you would go and they would have limitless salad and bread. And when you're young and broke, going there for limitless salad and bread, and then sharing an entree was a great thing. And this was my favorite entree from that restaurant. Now, a little bit of oil still left in the pan. I'm going to put in a finely minced onion. And this is a hot banana pepper. No, there's some heat. Don't get over the pan. There's some heat. We are building a nice brown fond on the bottom. And I'm just cooking this until the onions and the hot peppers soften. Okay, I have some tomato paste. And I'm going to put about half a can of tomato paste in the bottom. And we'll fry that around. And watch your heat. You don't want anything to burn, but you do want it to caramelize. So if you need to ride the heat and turn it down, go right ahead. Watch it closely. You don't want to burn anything, but you do want it to caramelize. And that doesn't take too long at all. So years later, long after I had stopped eating at this restaurant, Julie and I had stopped eating at this restaurant because the one in our town closed. So it just wasn't convenient anymore to go there. I was working an ad for the company, and, you know, the chef, one of their corporate chefs was there making this dish. And so they were making it beautifully, much more beautifully than they would in the restaurant. And so I got a lot of the tips and tricks for what I'm doing here from that shoot. So that's some garlic. Garlic is up to you in the amount that you want to put in or the intensity of the garlic flavor that you want. 3, 4 cloves, 5 cloves, 7 cloves, 8 cloves. Really, it's up to you. It's your dish. Make it the way that you want it. So I put that in, and I don't really let that fry too much. Nothing worse than bitter garlic. Okay, so this is some oregano, and I've got some white wine, and I want to deglaze the bottom of the pan with this white wine. So bring that up to a simmer and get all that goodness off the bottom. Now, salt and pepper. So I'm not going to put too much salt in, just a very little bit. And some black pepper, fresh cracked. Salt and pepper are to taste, of course. And I almost think for this dish that putting the pepper on as you're serving it brings that pepper flavor out a lot more. But I've got a little bit in there now just to get things started. And of course, taste along the way. And please yourself with your cooking. Please yourself. Now, I've got some tomatoes. These are Roma tomatoes. And these are whole, and they're in kind of a tomato pulp. They're not really in a liquid or juice. And I just kind of break them up with the back of my spoon. You could put them in a blender if you wanted to. You could crush them with your hands or your fingers, but I like some chunks. Now, I'm just going to simmer this for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. Another way that you can really sort of push the flavor up is with clam juice. I might have some open. No. I often have some open in the fridge. This is something I use a lot. And so a little bit of this clam juice really sort of raises all of the rest of the flavors. It accentuates what's going on with the shrimp. So I'm going to put that in because I really like it. If you don't have it or you don't want to buy a whole bottle of clam juice to use half a bottle in this dish, you can leave it out. There's no huge deal, but it does improve the flavor. Okay, water is boiling, so in goes the pasta. I'm using linguine today, but you know, use what you've got. I mean, if you have spaghetti in your cupboard, use spaghetti. Don't go out specifically to get linguine. Use the pasta that you like. It's your supper. Don't let me tell you. Okay. Pasta is done. Now, pasta is mostly cooked, not quite completely cooked. It will cook the rest of the way in the sauce. And I love using this basket because I've still got the pasta water here if I need to add some to thicken the sauce. So I'm going to put this into the sauce. The sauce is still bubbling away. Mix it all together, and I'll give it just about a minute or so. I'm not going to add the shrimp just yet. I don't want to overcook the shrimp. I'll add that just before service. Now, time for the shrimp. That goes in, all the juice. And we mix that together. And the shrimp doesn't take long to heat up at all. So it's pretty much at this point ready to serve. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends.
So
my timing's great, isn't it?
Lovely.
Look at you trying to get it all swirly in a mountain of pasta.
Okay. Yeah, a couple of shrimp on top.
Everyone's happy.
Everyone's happy. As long as there's shrimp, no one cares if the plate's a little bit smeared.
I guess I get to do the garnish.
Now, this is as good or better than that guy Mario from over on the east side.
Fair enough.
Okay, a couple of shrimp. Oh, give me the cloth.
You can't plate that?
Can't send that to the pass.
No.
Everyone would be upset.
How to eat linguine politely in front of all of you.
There's no polite way.
Just, there is, but you know, there's no pressure, really.
Mm-hmm. Kick of heat.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really good seafood flavor in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, isn't there? Yeah. I wish this was Japanese noodles.
Like an udon noodle?
Like, yeah, just so.
Or the light?
Well, because it would be polite to just
slurp
it into my mouth and you know.
Well, it also wouldn't be in this format, but yes. But it does have a lot more seafood flavor than I was expecting with just the shrimp.
Because I used the shells to season the oil ahead of time.
Okay. Huh.
And my bottle of magic clam juice came out. Right? So
Yep.
So there's that depth of flavor. All of those things together
Oh, that's too big.
sort of makes this dish come together. Because this could be a very one note. It's hot. It's tomato.
Yes.
By sort of layering all of those flavors in there, you get some nice depth. It's easy. And change the protein. I use shrimp, but you could use chicken, you could use clams, you could use mussels. There's a whole bunch of other ways.
What's in your cupboard, my friend?
I mean, it could be sausage. It could be sausage. So play with it. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.